What is up, you wonderful people? It is I, Nima, and today I want to talk about a game that no one probably cares about because Xenoblade Chronicles 3 just came out and people are watching that review, not this one, but I don't care because I want to talk about this game and I just took my time playing it and I'm still not done with it, but we're really close, so figure it's time to talk about Livealive. But before we get into that, I do want to remind you guys to please hit that like and subscribe button or I am going to move into your house. Anyway, Livealive is a game that, honestly, I've been hyped up for more than almost any other game this year. Once it got announced and I just got looking at the awesome 2D HD graphics and the fact that it just reminded me of, like, old school Final Fantasy and then maybe, like, a little bit of Earthbound and Chrono Trigger. Yeah, there's just those kind of ties that you can see to it. I was really excited for it, and lo and behold, I think this game's going to be overlooked, but it is great. I think it's one of those like must-play games, especially if you're into RPGs, JRPGs, retro games, really just like most style of games, because each chapter is a different character and a different mode, like a different game style completely, which is crazy. Now, they all have one thing in common, and it's the combat. It's this sort of tactical, turn-based combat. It's kind of like an active time thing, where you can move around a grid, but as you're doing that, the enemy's active meter is also increasing, so they can attack you while you're moving, or you can set it up right where you can get a couple hits in before they can even get to you. So there's a lot of strategy and definitely a lot of different skills and different specialties of each character. But as far as like the core gameplay of each chapter, it's fairly different. Like there's a chapter, The Distant Future, where you actually play a robot, and a good chunk of that is literally kind of running away from a bad guy and talking. Like there's almost no combat throughout that whole chapter, but it's really cool. It's actually very interesting. And the other thing about that and how you can tell is each chapter was also written by a separate person. So you can really see the differences, and that's just in the writing and the character makeup and kind of the stories that they tell. The gameplay as well is quite different. The Western, for instance, is one where there's a little bit of battling, but honestly not very much. A lot of it has to do with planning. I'm trying to not have any spoilers or anything, but we'll just say you need the townspeople to help you like set up traps, and that's a good chunk of the chapter is just scouting out, finding the best job for the best townsperson. Now, like the prehistoric era, that one is a lot of fighting. Like there is a ton of grinding and fighting, and that one is probably the funniest, I'll say, as far as the ones I played. I'm not ruining anything, but yeah, like the main goal of that chapter really is just to like get tail, but it's fun, like, and it's funny, and there's a lot of action. As where like the ninja, it's really stealthy, or it can be. There is an option that you don't do that, but it's much easier if you do go the stealth route. So all of these different varieties packed into one game is pretty amazing to me, and I'm still in awe that this is a game that came out for the Super Famicom in like 94. The things that they're doing now are not even close to as good as they were doing then, and I'm not one of those retro people who's like, oh, retro games are the best. No, I'm actually kind of the opposite in a lot of ways, where I don't know, it takes a lot for me to get like vested into a retro game, and my horizons have been broadened recently, but still I typically prefer newer games than I do retro games, but that is really starting to change, especially with a game like this, where I can see it's amazing writing, pacing is done really well, the combat is done really well, the character design, I absolutely love all of the characters, I love the interactions, the dialogue. I can't think of one bad thing about this game. And, well, no, I take that back. So I actually really love a lot of the story and the characters, and I want to see where they go next, but there's this looming thought in my head, and that is, once this is over, that's it. There's not going to be a Livealive 2, because this game is incredibly old. Like, arguably older than me. Like, there's not going to be the same. Even if they remake it, it's not going to be the same, right? Like, and I don't mean remake it. I mean, like, they add a sequel. It's not going to be the same. Maybe there's a sequel, somewhere in Japan that can get ported over, and that would be awesome. But I think it's lucky enough that we got this one. But there's just so much to love about this game. It really is astounding, like how much this game offers and how much they were pushing boundaries back then. But we didn't get it over here, and I don't know why. Because I think this would have been just as popular, if not more popular, than like Chrono Trigger. So I don't know. It's weird, but yeah, I think for me, this is definitely like a must buy. die. Gotta play it. It's so good. There's so many things about it that, one of the things that I'll bring up real quick is that I like how you can play like a chapter a night, because each chapter is like maybe an hour to like 3 hours. So it's a relatively short game, and that kind of sucks, especially because you want more, but it is 7 chapters, so you're looking at the 20 to 25 hour mark. Each time you complete a chapter, you feel like you've done something. Like you can close the book on that character in that world and start anew. And that's kind of, I don't know, it's nice than having to play some like JRPGs where you're just grinding all the time. Now, I like it. I prefer grinding, to be honest. Like if like Shin Megami Tensei 5, I had like 80 hours in and I haven't even got to like, I think the halfway mark. I'll fire it up and I'll just grind. Like that's my version of playing the game, because that's what I do to like relax, which is weird, I know. But yeah, I definitely think that this is a great game, and the only thing that really could be added more is the time. A longer game, more content, because the voice acting, most of them, it's really good. There's a couple that are so, but then the music is really good as well. So all aspects of this game were done immaculately, and I absolutely love Livealive. And just to go over the characters real quick, there is a martial artist who's like a grandmaster, and he's looking to pass on his knowledge to like a younger generation. And that one takes place in Imperial China. As I said, the prehistoric is just kind of a fun, goofy, get and tail kind of one. The Western, which is about a defamed marshal and his struggles, that one I don't want to get too much into. And the ninja, his story takes place in Edo, Japan, and that one's the more stealthy one. The present day follows a young man who's kind of a brawler. There was actually some graphics of him in a wrestling ring, so I'm kind of interested in that one. The near future follows a young, hothead, kind of troublemaker person who ends up picking a lot of fights because he's insecure, and that one has a really good story, to be honest. Also like the gameplay of that one. And of course, I mentioned the robot, which is in the distant future. So altogether, you have like 7 different adventures to go on. And apparently, there is one final chapter where they all kind of intertwine. I don't know. I haven't done that yet. I'm excited to do that. But that's my thoughts on Livealive. I'm curious how many of you guys are going to pick it up. Let me know in the section below, or if you've played it somehow before. I know there's a lot of you guys out there who have special things that allow you to do that. But yeah, let me know any and all your thoughts in the comment section below. I appreciate it. Each and every one of you. I love you. Have a great rest of your weekend. Take care, guys. Oh, man. I get tested for COVID again.